Just like college basketball, we're on bubble watch in college football. And here's a look at the bubble games in Week 11. A bevy of them, including Georgia at Ole Miss and 6-2 Alabama visiting 6-2 LSU at night. Back here with Richard Johnson, Brad Crawford. The Tide and Tigers clashing in a virtual elimination game. Alabama's won 11 of the last 13 meetings, while LSU has won 14 straight home games. Former head coach Les Miles is famous for saying, Death Valley is where opponents' dreams come to die. Richard, does Alabama's playoff dreams die on Saturday night in Baton Rouge?
I think they do.
Ooh.
I don't think this Alabama team is cut out to win this game. I think what they've shown in the last 3 weeks and half of the Georgia game is that they are not this Death Star Alabama team. Now, I will say this, Hakeem. What Alabama did in that Georgia game was they came out of a bye week with a game plan and they shocked the dogs, and Georgia was slow to adjust to what Alabama threw at them. Alabama really threw the kitchen sink at them, particularly on defense. They executed and they built a massive lead in that game in the first half. Do they have a trick to pull out of their sleeves out of a bye week against LSU this weekend? And how will LSU respond if that happens?
The home team in this matchup has won the last 3 years. A couple years ago, Brian Kelly went for 2, beat Bryce Young at Tiger Stadium. To me, this game comes down to who do you trust more at quarterback? Is Garrett Nussmeier going to throw 3 picks at home like he did in College Station a few weeks ago? That's not going to happen. Jalen Milroe, both his losses this season have come on the road in Nashville. Though he played okay in that game, did throw a pick 6, and then he played pretty poorly at Tennessee. I'm with Richard here. I think LSU wins at home, and a possible 9-3 finish for Bama. That's a stinky first year for Kalen DeBoer.
This sounds like the wrong team's favored, Brad. Right? I mean, that's what you're telling me.
Man. I'm not betting against LSU at night at home.
Yeah,
not in a rivalry.
Yeah, no, thank you. No. This is it right here for Alabama. So, and for if LSU's going to have any shot here to try to sneak in. And look, it's an outside shot, but if they can get a win against Alabama, who right now, in the eyes of the committee, is number 11, that would be pretty huge for them. Georgia's only loss, as we mentioned, is to Alabama in the game of the year. Dogs are on the road at Ole Miss, who has 2 losses. Not really sure what this team is. Lost to Kentucky at home, then LSU in overtime. Both head coaches have served on Nick Saban's staff. Lane Kiffin was Alabama's OC. Kirby Smart was Alabama's DC. Jackson Dart coming off a 515-yard passing game. Carson Beck coming off yet another 3-interception game. Brad, who do you like in this game? Because I feel like this is a spot for Ole Miss to say this is who we are. This is what we have been trending towards if you're Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, the bad news for Ole Miss is Georgia has umpteenth 5-stars on defense compared to what Jackson Dart faced last week against Arkansas. 6 touchdown passes, 400 yards. Ole Miss scored at will in every quarter in that game. This is another weird line here in Week 11 in the SEC. Georgia only a 2.5-point road favorite. Normally, Vegas gives you 3 points for playing at home. So this one's pretty much wide open, according to the experts, Georgia and Ole Miss. But you're right, Lane Kiffin, he needs a prove-it game. Already lost to Kentucky at home. Had a big lead at LSU, lost that game at night a few weeks ago. Ole Miss this offseason spent a lot of money to win this game Saturday against Georgia. So big game in the SEC. It's one of 2 games, I think, that are going to determine playoff implications for those 4 teams.
Georgia's got a passing game problem. It's pretty clear. And I think that problem stems from the fact that they don't have Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers led the Georgia Bulldogs in targets last year, and he didn't even play in 12 games. You will recall he got hurt in the Vanderbilt game last year. Last year, Georgia and Ole Miss played, and Georgia beat him pretty handily. This, to me, Hakeem, is the classic spot where Ole Miss just end in the weight class, where we realize that Ole Miss can play well and good against 9 or 10 teams on their schedule, but a certain class of SEC opponent they are not cut out to beat. If Ole Miss is able to come out in this game and put up a number, can Carson Beck and the Georgia passing game actually come back? Obviously, they showed it that they can against Alabama, but the way Carson Beck's been playing the last few weeks, I don't know if the Dogs can do that.
Yeah, it's going to be a prove-it game, as Brad said. As I don't know that I trust Carson Beck. I mean, it's back-to-back 3-interception games. look, if he was playing against the Georgia defense, he might have 6 interceptions in one game. He's not. So I'm curious to see what the score is going to be. Is it going to be high scoring like it was kind of last year where Georgia, I think, hung 50 on him? Or is it going to be played a little bit tighter to the vest between Lane Kiffin and Kirby Smart? We shall see. In the Big 12, it's been chaos. Iowa State, Kansas State both lost in Week 10. BYU, Colorado just sitting pretty, both on a bye. Cougars atop the conference. Iowa State needs a bounce back against Kansas. Jayhawks have won the last 2 meetings. Richard, you know that the Big 12, this is a big spot for them this week. This is a must-win for the Cyclones. There's no ifs and or buts. This is a must-win.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a must-win for Iowa State. It's hard to find more than a 3-point spread in any Big 12 game. This conference is so tight. Nobody's been able to separate themselves. But there has been, in my opinion, no team in the Big 12 more disappointing than Kansas. With what they have at quarterback with Jalen Daniels, and he's a great player in the past. He's had some injury concerns, and he's had some turnover concerns this year. And I think a lot of their offensive woes are because Anil Katalnicki is at Penn State as the offensive coordinator, and so they've had to figure out some stuff on offense. But do they have it in this game? Can they surprise I think Iowa State's a really good defense, a really good football team. Can they pull a stunner in this game?
You know Travis Hunter is going to be checking his Apple Watch during the Colorado-Texas Tech game for the score of this Iowa State-Kansas game. Because if Kansas beats Iowa State and Colorado wins Saturday, we're talking about Coach Prime and the Buffaloes potentially making a run to the Big 12 championship game, a couple wins away from making the playoff. This is a must-win game, as you mentioned, Richard, for Iowa State. Had that bad loss a week ago. And Kansas is a team with Jalen Daniels at quarterback. They can beat anybody. Lance Leipold said this week that he feels this team is starting to play a little better at the right time. Could certainly play spoiler this weekend.
I can't imagine being in a world where the Big 12 is not in the college football playoff when it is expanded to 12 teams. Like, BYU's got to run the table here, and they're going to be in. But if they don't, Iowa State, one-loss team, this is supposed to be equal opportunity, right? It's supposed to be.
One-loss Big 12 champion against 13-0 Army, who's beaten Notre Dame and is a conference champion. And then Boise State
you're just mixing
as a conference champion. If you're putting 3 teams for that 5th guaranteed berth, I'm taking Boise and I'm taking Army. And a one-loss Big 12 champion in that reality ain't getting in.
Can't wait to see.
The committee always looks at unblemished records. The committee loves an unbeaten record. We've shown that over the
except Florida State.
Except Florida State. Yeah.
we got to end on a zinger right there. Brad Crawford, Richard Johnson here on CBS Sports HQ, and here's a look at the rankings. We're going to run through the entire top 25 as of this night. It is Oregon, unanimous at the top, followed by Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, Texas, Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Boise State. All these teams currently in the bracket. Here's the teams that are knocking on the door. SMU, Texas A&M, the first team out. Second team out, Texas A&M, to put it into college basketball terms. LSU, Ole Miss, Iowa State, Pitt, Kansas State, Colorado, and you see Army there at 25. Just saying, oh, okay, we're just going to lay here in the weeds. Don't forget about us. We might be able to run the table and create some absolute chaos when all is said and done.